Okay, this is Genesis 1, chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I read through them today and I wrote my understanding. Okay, this is Bible study, first day. Genesis chapter 1, or what it means to me. In chapter 1 of Genesis, I begin reading and understanding that God created the heavens and earth, giving earth form, as well waters and sky. Then more was included. And as I read, I understood that he created all living animals and birds, fish, and beasts, which is to say the land animals. Then he created man and gave man control over all creatures, which today man is the dominant creatures of this world. And I then read it was the sixth day. Genesis chapter 2, understanding. In chapter 2, I begin reading and understanding that God had created the heavens and the earth and rested on the seventh day. Later, as I read on, I learned that God put Adam in the garden. He also caused a deep sleep, and into Adam and took a rib and created woman to help Adam in the garden. God also commanded of Adam not to eat of the tree of life, but that he can eat of anything else. For if they ate that, they shall surely die. And they were naked and unaware of shame. Genesis chapter 3, my understanding. In chapter 3, I read about the serpent coming up to the woman and telling her the tree of good and evil will make her like God. And she ate of it and shared with her husband, and God was walking and confronted Adam and Eve, and they hid themselves from God and was ashamed of being naked. So they made coverings out of fig leaves, and God kicked them out of the garden and gave Adam the job of till the land, while thorns and thistles grow. He also made it painful to conceive for the woman. Chapter 4, Genesis, my understanding. In chapter 4, I read how Cain and Abel were brothers, and they brought a sacrifice to God, and Cain did not please God as did Abel. So Cain became angry and killed Abel. And God knew, for Abel's blood cried out from the ground, so God had cursed Abel and made him leave. Then Cain was married and started his own generation. Check this one out. The generation of murder was started, the Kenites. The Kenites were started by Cain in the murder, and God, and carried on after the flood through Seth. So the Kenites were carried on. The mark of the beast was started because God marked Cain, and he carried on through Seth, a generation, and it carried after the flood. We'll get into that later, but this concludes Genesis Bible study, Genesis chapter 1 through 4, and I will post more for you guys as we read chapter for chapter Bible study. I'm tired of seeing these preachers, they voice their own opinion, but they're not going chapter through chapter and writing about it. I've come up with an idea on how to reach out to people in an easier way and, make it more fun to understand. So I'll be back tomorrow on another understanding. And, in order to understand the end, you have to understand the beginning. So that's where we're at here in Genesis. It's really unique, because through God, wisdom comes. And I'd like to conclude with that. You have a nice one. Go ahead and stop.